Developing now, demonstrators in downtown Greensboro moved to action after a police officer in Minneapolis held his knee on the neck of George Floyd while arresting him on suspicion of writing a bad check. Video shows the officer left his knee there for almost 9 minutes as Floyd is heard saying, "I can't breathe." Floyd died. The officer is out of the job and facing criminal charges. That's why people are speaking up now, but they want you to know their pain goes so much deeper. Take a look at the crowd in Greensboro from above with Redbird 2. About 100 people came out chanting and carrying signs to raise awareness. We have live team coverage for you this evening. WFMY News 2's Denise McMiller is looking at how the crowd here at home is working with police to keep things peaceful. But first, let's get to Jess Winters, who talked with demonstrators about their message for you.
Ben, right now I'm on the corner of Josephine Boulevard and Westgate City Boulevard. We have been walking for about a mile at this point. A lot of people are in masks because I think we've forgotten we're in the middle of a pandemic because George Floyd has taken over the media coverage for the past couple of days since his life ended too soon on May 25th at the hands of a white police officer. If you can pan around, Sean, we have about 150 to 200 people currently standing around in the middle of the street. I do want to reiterate that they do have permits to be here, unlike fiery, violent scenes we've seen play out across America. This has been nothing but peaceful. There have been several chants, and I'll give you some examples of them. Don't shoot. George Floyd was a chant for a couple of minutes, and then infamously, as Ben Briscoe mentioned, I can't breathe. Right now, we've taken a momentary pause. Some people are sipping on water as it is very hot out here, but we do plan to continue onward. This is not the first protest. This is not the first march of today. There was one earlier around 1 p.m. that remained nothing but peaceful. That was closer to downtown on Green Street. There was some spray paint on the street that said no justice, no peace, but nothing beyond that. Now, when we started, and where we did start was near the Citgo gas station on Westgate City Boulevard, and we've been walking ever since, just past UNCG's campus. There was one business, it was Napa Auto Parts, that was boarding up their windows. They were putting wood shield protective over their windows as a preventative measure. Just because they were doing that, I don't want you to think that there is violence in Greensboro. Like I said, unlike fiery scenes taking place, violent scenes across the nation, that has not happened here in Greensboro. The organizers sent a message just minutes ago as we were paused here saying this is a non-violent protest. This is about unity. This is about fighting for the injustices, fighting for the inequalities that we've seen not just on May 25th with George Floyd, but for years, for decades, for generations. That's what today is about. Yes, you are here at your own risk, but we want to keep this about love and keep this about coming together. Now, Sean, if you can go over here to this line right here, you might notice there's a sign that says racism is the real virus. And of course, that's in reference to the coronavirus. We are in the middle still of a global pandemic. But these folks here on the back line were arm in arm, standing arm in arm, following the marchers. They were white protesters linking arms, and they said that they were protecting the black protesters in front of them from police. This protest here is about the fight against police brutality. Now we've had GPD officers trailing behind us on bikes. I don't see many of them now, but periodically, there's about a group of 5 of them behind me. But we see police cars with their lights on, blocking off intersections because we are in the middle of the street. We'll have more coverage coming up in just a few minutes. Back to you, Ben.
Jessica, speaking of being in the middle of the street there on Gate City Boulevard, it looks like, did the protesters overtake the street and block it off like we've seen in other cities, or did the police willingly close it for them? Hey, Jessica, can you still hear me?
No, not with this mask on.
Okay, it looks like Jessica is back in the crowd trying to find out more. Her in just a second. About 15 people did come out to demonstrate in Winston-Salem today. On Snapchat, one poster made sure to point out that the group was peacefully protesting. Now, the Triad marches are part of a national movement with demonstrations in almost every state of the union and thousands gathering in most of America's largest cities.
George Floyd! George Floyd! George Floyd!
That was the scene in Columbus, Ohio, as demonstrators marched in the city's downtown area. Today, protests were peaceful, but police did say they were forced to use tear gas once. And in Kansas, hundreds rallied at the state capitol today for Stand Up for George Floyd. The group marched around the state capitol chanting things like Black Lives Matter and I Can't Breathe, the same things we were hearing at the Greensboro rally. And right down the road, this was the scene in Charlotte last night. Demonstrators clashed with police outside of a precinct. Police say people threw objects and damaged stores. At least 15 people were arrested there. 3 officers were also hurt. They are expected to recover. About an hour ago, Charlotte police responded to the demonstrations on Facebook, posting a picture from above with officers standing on the sides with the caption, "We're right there beside you. We're in this together." North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper is also weighing in. Late this afternoon, he tweeted out, "George Floyd and so many others should be alive right now. People are angry, frustrated, and sad, and I am too. If we don't force our communities towards accountability and action, then we haven't learned anything." He went on to say, the protests around the country offer a space for people to make their voices heard, but they must happen without violence and further loss of life. It is time we have the difficult conversations needed to stamp out racism and end these unjust killings. To help make sure violence does not happen here in Greensboro today, demonstrators say they've been working with police on the event. WFOY News 2's Denise McMiller looks at how that relationship has gone so far.
Well, I'm here at the intersection of Gate City Boulevard and Josephine Boyd Street, just as Jess was, but just a different angle here. You can see that there are actually police officers on their bikes blocking off the streetways for these protesters so that they can peacefully protest in honor of George Floyd. And they have been with them throughout the entire afternoon. This protest has been going on since noon. They started at the Civil Rights Museum in downtown Greensboro, and that number grew to more than nearly about 200. And officers say that they have been working with the organizer, Anthony Morgan, and he says that law enforcement has been very helpful.
Made sure that we have water, they have escorted me, we have communicated and organized to the point where I have their numbers so I can call them if I need their help. And I feel like that's very important for the people to have that kind of relationship and to understand that you can look like me and still get help from your fellow officer. The bottom line is, doesn't believe what happened was correct either. We believe that it was right. We believe that it was absolutely wrong. Oh no, they haven't. Are you either of you?
And police say they are here to make sure those that protest can come out safely and to make sure that protests do not intervene with the current protest that's going on right now. And the organizer told me that he wants to make sure that those who come out do not use this as a ploy for social media gain, and that they need to understand that the mission is to come together peacefully. And I'm told that this protest will go well into the evening, and I'll be here following these protesters as they walk throughout the city of Greensboro.
All right, Denise, thank you. We'll check back in a second. Minnesota's governor has fully mobilized his state's National Guard after another night of violent protests there. He says the time for chaos is over. George Michael has the latest from Minneapolis.
Volunteers gathered in Minneapolis today to clean up after another night of fires and looting during a protest for George Floyd.
We're going to have to work so hard and together, everyone, to clean this up. I mean, this is just, who knows, this is not even probably the end.
Protesters ignored an 8 p.m. curfew, setting buildings and cars on fire, prompting Governor Tim Walz to activate the state's full National Guard for the first time in Minnesota history.
Last night is a mockery of pretending this is about George Floyd's death.
As the National Guard rolled into Minneapolis, President Trump urged Minnesota officials to get tougher with protesters.
They've got to be tough. They've got to be smart. We have our military ready, willing, and able if they ever want to call our military. But we can have troops in the ground very quickly.
Talking with people on this block, a lot of folks told us they support the protests, but seeing this destruction of their community breaks their heart.
Everything is gone. If it's not broken or burnt down, it's tagged with graffiti.
Anger over Floyd's death ignited protests in dozens of U.S. cities. Protesters in Atlanta set fires and smashed the windows of the CNN Center, set fire to police vehicles in New York, and police held back an angry mob at the White House. People poured into the streets again today from Philadelphia to Los Angeles.
I need to be out here. I feel like, it's time to take a stand. United we stand, divided we fall.
Officials across the country are bracing for another night of possible violence following a national call for protests. Michael George, CBS News, Minneapolis.
Well, in a most difficult time, there is at least good news.
Ooh. That was mine, thank you. I wanted to sip anyway. I haven't heard any guidance about our next hit, but I suppose it could be at any time because it's 6:13.
I'm ready.
Carrie just texted me. Hey everyone watching, this is Jess Winters with WFMY News 2. I just want to let you know that we're about to be live on the 6 p.m. newscast momentarily, I believe in 60 seconds, so that's why I'm not speaking to the camera right now. I know we do end up getting a lot of comments about that. But I'm going to have to do my live hit for the TV, and then I will circle back and give you some updates on Facebook. Second, Sean. You just got a full scope of how many people are here, about 200. I'm about to be live on TV in about 15 seconds. Jess Winters here with WFMY News 2. Thank you for joining us this evening. I am live on the corner of Josephine Boyd Street and Westgate City Boulevard. I have been walking with marchers for about a mile for about an hour now. We're paused at this moment. Sean, if you can pan around and show them the crowd of about 200, I would say 150 to 200 people who are protesting in response to the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Now, they do have permits to be here. They received 2 permits for the city to be here. You might be wondering why we're in the middle of the street. We are allowed to be here tonight. This has been nothing but peaceful. People have come with signs saying, "Don't shoot, no justice, no peace, no racist police." Those are the main chants that we've heard this evening, and we are going to continue walking on tonight. There will be another protest around 8 p.m. tonight. We'll be following that completely all throughout the night for you, giving you the latest updates. But the main points here, these have been non-violent marches this evening. Okay, I'm still on Facebook. Sorry, my photographer forgot about that for a second. Okay, so we are live. Again, we're on Josephine Boyd and Westgate City. Sorry, just turning down the volume on my phone. And we've been paused here for about 10 minutes now, and everyone's just kind of taking a break, taking some sips of water. I'm hearing chants that have just started again, so I think we're about to mobilize. Okay, mobilizing again. And I'm going to let the march speak for itself at this point, so you can tune into the chants and hear and take in the sights and sounds for yourself.
Perfect.
Yeah. I've asked them to switch, Sean. Two more minutes. Are they taking your live hit now?
We already did that.
No. Your live pick, they're going to switch to you for the live stream.
Yeah.
Probably. Yes, it is actually.
John, did you hear that? They're using your shot for a final goodbye.
Right now?
No, not right now. I'm still in, so if they switch to me, they can.
Yep. Can you pull that out? Like, just pull on that till my phone comes out and just... All right, that worked.
Do you want your phone?
No, I mean, you can hang up the call if you want, but can you like drop these in your purse or something? I have nowhere to hold them right now. Yeah, I know. Okay, I'm gonna go this way a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, y'all on the clock. Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, yo, anybody need water? Anybody need water?
Okay, let me try you. I'll look out for you.
Streets, we safe together. We safe together. Streets. That's not an issue. We spend the green dollar, but you don't like the black man. That ain't gonna work. They want to talk about us looting your money.
I know we was going to jail earlier or later tonight.
Looting and breaking down everything that we built up.
So let me
They're going to call the military. They're going to have a reason to shoot us down. That's exactly why Greensboro doing something a little bit different from the other cities. But y'all see the representation. Y'all see the representation. Somebody said earlier, let's go to the city council. Somebody said earlier, let's go to the mayor. Somebody said earlier, let's go to the chief of police. I ran for mayor, you go to the city council.
Is that what y'all do?
Right. I'm going to take up right now. I'm not going to have it.
No matter what it is, blood, grip, life force, anything that we created, let's hope we win. what we need is this moment to be a movement. This can't be a moment. This got to be a movement. This can't be a date. This got to be something that we unify. We got to stand on it. We got to make history. You can't get forced today and expect it to be heard tomorrow. That ain't how that goes. That ain't how that goes. You let them know that this is unacceptable for the generations to come. That's what you tell them. That's how that goes. These are our home. Anybody who's doing anything that represents being racist towards us, who's in here, you got to go. Period. That's how it's going to go from now on. Just like I said, go to their business. We protesting. Yeah, that's setting us a just example. But what about when you go home? Somebody always talking about what we're going to do when we leave. What we're going to do when we leave, remember those businesses that thrive off of our hard-earned tax money. And we're going to set them down. We're going to remember those businesses that didn't treat us just. We're going to remember those businesses that didn't let us work equal opportunities. Oh yeah, y'all know Chapter, y'all crazy. It's up to me, I wouldn't leave. Hey, go! They go right back to treating us like slaves. Once more again, right back to treating us like our words don't matter. Once more again, right back to shooting us down in the middle of the street, whether it's in public or behind closed doors. Once more again. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Everybody ready? Y'all ready? Yeah! Y'all ready? Y'all ready? No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! 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 No peace! No racist! Police! No racist! Police! No racist! Police! No racist! Police! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice!
Oh, there you are. It's like, where is she?
No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice!
Y'all like y'all should have a scream. They don't have a fucking heart. They don't have.
Whenever you want to step in, I'll just switch your mic on. I don't know how.
I said no justice! No peace! Fuck these racist police! I said no justice! No peace!
We gotta keep going. Yeah, I'm good. I just need to back up a little more. Because I need to be able to get out to the side. Good thing I aced walking backwards in school.
Who they murdered? George Floyd! Who they murdered? George Floyd!
Hang on. Up.
And if you're just joining us, these are a group of protesters who are protesting in honor of George Floyd, who was killed in Minneapolis. They have been walking down Westgate City Boulevard. They just passed Chapman Street. They're continuing to make their way down. You can hear them right now chanting. They've been doing this since noon. They started as a small group of about 5 people. You can see now there's probably a couple hundred people out here right now protesting. They have signs out, and again, and as I said, in honor of George Floyd. and I'm told that they're going to be out here throughout the night. A final protest is expected to start at about 8 p.m. Again, they're starting back up. They're chanting, saying no justice, no peace. And I spoke to the organizer, and he says that this is all about peace again. He said for those who do choose to come out, he wants to make sure that folks remember the mission and do not use this as a ploy for social media. He wants people to remember the mission is to gather peacefully, and that is what has been happening since noon. There have been no issues that we are aware of, and the Greensboro Police Department have been coming along with these protesters as they walk down Gate City Boulevard. You can see some of them right here on their bikes trailing behind them, but we'll continue to bring you updates throughout the night as this protest continues. Again, we'll be back live again at 8 p.m. for the final phase of today's protest.